Okay. Do you want to ask any questions so far?
No, not
No,
really,
it's
thank
okay.
you.
Are you going to upload that document that you are
Yes,
showing?
yes. I wanted to. I was in the. I was in a way that is when there is a blog, there are restrictions and you cannot copy the content. What I'm doing is using I don't know a trick that they have taught me to get like a picture. It's not a print screen. It's just you select the part that you want as a picture, and I'm pasting it, right? So as soon as I finish it, then I'm going to upload it. Of course,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Thank you.
Can anybody read this about the GIST task? I was reading. I started introducing the idea. Can anybody read? Because I don't know if you have noticed that my voice is not at its best today. I think that there must be some humidity. That's why my vocal cords sound that hoarse, right? Can anybody join in the reading?
Okay, I can do it.
Okay, Almira, it's your turn. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
GIST task. The main aim for a GIST task is to develop the student's abilities to either skim or the main idea of a written text or to listen for the main idea of an audio, video, clip. So you want to make sure the activity matches its aims. In example, you want to give them an activity that focuses on the main idea as opposed to more specific information or details. Having the students focus on the main idea first gives them important context that they can then use to understand the text in more depth. An example, further details, vocabulary words, or a grammar point. Here are some common type of GIST activities you can use to design your lesson.
Let me go further down. Hold on. Okay, there we are. Common types of GIST activities. Yes, Almiro, go ahead.
All right. Common types of GIST activities. Summarize. Students summarize the text with a restricted word count. In example, in one sentence or 3 words. Choose main idea. Give them a few options of a main idea summary, ideally a short sentence, and they choose which one best summarizes the listening reading text. Design title or a subtitle, or a subtitle. Leave the title section or part of it blank or unknown, and students have to come up with their own title or subtitle. During whole class feedback, discuss the different titles and perhaps give them the real title to see how close they were. This is more suited towards an upper level class and relatively uncomplicated titles. Several main ideas. You can break any listening and or reading text into several main idea concepts, especially important for longer text. Can have them arrange order of several main idea concepts too. Checklist. Have them check main ideas or topics that are related to the reading or listening text. Choose a title. Give them a few different title options to choose from. You want to design the titles in such a way that there is one that clearly correlates with the main idea of the article over the others, yet the others are not so different, resulting in too obvious of an answer where there is no need to skim the article to find out the main idea.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, then you have image association, match a question with answer, general idea questions. Then you go over them on your own. What do you think is the source here in most of the activities?
A text or a listening?
That's it. I mean, it is a stage where what? where there is what we call
Input?
input, right? And this input will be about what? About the context that you have already devised and you have been working on, or you have mentioned, or you have drawn information from the students in the leading. Okay? So
yes.
why is it? Because perhaps in the leading, the students are in a way exposed to the new language or whatever you want to teach, either a function, vocabulary, or a grammar point, right? But it is more informal in a way, more casual, let's say. But in the input, in this stage, right, the students will be given, let's say the language that is either in the layout of a listening activity or in the reading, okay, as a reading task. So the students will visualize or will listen, right, to the language that you want to focus on. Now, what might you do with this language, right? Well, you may have them work, let's say, at a higher level in terms of text, structure, prediction, right? Editing, let's say, asking for opinion if it is a higher level, right? I mean, there are many things you can do with a text. And then gradually, what do? You focus on what? On what we call, let's say, checking comprehension. That is to say, you want to check that the students understood this input because now, let's say, they can decode the new language. And then after that, you are going to work on something that we call, let me stop the sharing, presentation, if there is a presentation, or let's say revision of language. And what do? Here is when, let's say, your teaching techniques are displayed. That is to say, will you draw examples from the text and write them on the board? Well, that is a technique, right? Now, but who is going to extract the examples, either the vocabulary, the function, or whatsoever you are presenting? Who is going to do that? You on your own, or the students will tell you what language is new? The idea is that the students are the ones that make the contributions. But you may say, and if they do not discover what I really want, well, here we have a tool that you are not, let's say, thinking about. And what is that tool? That of questions. Using questions in a way to guide the students. So the questions are the ones that will guide the students into, let's say, contributing with language for you to formally present it on the board and write the models or the, let's say, examples, then ask them to focus, why not on form, and maybe underlining, let's say, the pronoun, or underlining, if you're focusing on a verb tense, on the different verb forms, when there is an S, when there isn't, if it is a negative, if it is a question form, you use colors. But the students are the ones that will extract the language if you, let's say, drive them into doing it. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about the rest?
Yes.
Yes.
It's very difficult for us sometimes to step out from that, let's say, controlling role of giving the students, let's say, the language in a way that it has already been, let's say, decoded and digested. That is what we have to avoid. We have to rely more on our students. Now, it takes, let's say, a lot of thinking to, in a way, foresee what the students, let's say, answers will be, and to shape it into a presentation that is conducted indirectly by the students. Right? So do not fall into the temptation of providing the students with, okay, look at paragraph 1, second line. Can you read it? If you do that, the students know that the new language is in the second line of that paragraph. Now, the idea is, why don't you make a question about that so that the students will have to answer it by using that chunk of language. All right?
I have a question, Sandra.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that the students are going to be able to work like this if they are not used to? I mean, if they...
Yes. I
new
think
for them?
that poses a challenge generally. Right? And in fact, it needs a lot of what? Do you remember that we used the word when we do actions that have to do with guiding the students towards an aim? And what is that? Do you remember the word?
Scaffold.
That's it. It takes a lot of scaffolding at the beginning, but then the students adapt to your way and they do it instinctively, right? But it takes a lot of patience, and at the beginning, you don't have to be frustrated because the students sort of need to know the rhythm you are dancing because it's a different way of dancing. Yes,
right,
it is. It is, but it's, I mean, it's not impossible, but it takes time. Perhaps what will be the biggest disadvantage or obstacle at the beginning? What do you think? What can you picture?
Motivating the students.
Sorry, Jessica, what did you say?
Motivating the students. I mean, find what motivates them.
The contextualization, you believe that it's going to be difficult? It may be.
I don't think choosing a topic, but maybe finding what motivates them, or how can I address my students in a way that they want to be in my lesson.
Okay, but if you want to teach something, right, and you want the students to contribute with the language, you don't want to feed them with a language that has already been decoded. That is the challenge, one of the challenges, right? Provided, imagine that the students, or suppose the students are already engaged with the topic you have set, right? Now, it's difficult to conduce in a way them to participating. What could be the biggest obstacle is that they remain silent. And what do you do? I mean, you may say, yes, sorry, Ramiro.
I would pick one of the students and ask him a question directly. And I think that that student will be more intimidated, but I think that maybe he will speak to me, he will talk to me.
Well, I always use this technique that it is as simple as la tabla del uno, right? First, what you have to do is to try to make a question, right? That is to say, a common question, a WH question. That is to say, how, let's see, what does Homer Simpson do? All right, imagine we are thinking about a factory worker, right? What does he do? And the students do not answer, right? They remain silent. So the next step is to ask a yes/no question. When the students are not able or they don't feel like answering because perhaps they don't feel confident enough to provide you with information, you say, is he a worker, right? A factory worker? Yes, okay, so Homer is and you make a pause and invite the students to contribute factory worker, and you write factory worker, right? So the way is first try with a WH question, and second with a yes/no question. And I'm sure you will get it. And then you have this reading, okay, right, or dictation technique that you always use it is to say, I pretend I don't remember the information from the text, and I look at them, requesting them to fill in or to complete the sentence that I want to write, and they end up answering. That's another technique.
And what if still the students don't participate?
You may give them options.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So say, is he a factory worker or a housewife? So if you give them two options, then the students will definitely say one. Okay? Right? That's another technique. But these are teaching techniques that you, let's say, you will always be using no matter what level. I mean, it doesn't matter if it is B1 or if it is A1. Those are teaching techniques that can be applied to any level of language. I mean, of competence in language. All right? And then gradually the students get used to doing that. That is to say, following you or completing your sentence or answering, because they understand that this is the way you build language on the board. Okay, with the students' contribution. Right? And generally, if you address what they have said, or if they have made a comment, or if they have given you an example, then you say, as Camila said, remember, Camila, you said that, that Homer is 40 years old. Yes, and then you say, okay, so if you address what they have contributed with, they are happier. Because it's like they get the idea that they are the ones that are shaping the information that is on the board. Okay?
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're going to start working on this, okay? I'm going to show, then I will give you the notes, I will upload this, and you will read it, and then you will have, if you have questions, we're going to discuss them next week, all right? But the idea is that we start thinking of how we're going to present a language. Okay, so I'm going to think of what? I want you to think of a topic. I'm going to say, well, you have to introduce likes and dislikes for a first course in secondary school. Well, then I will give you the information. And what I would like you to do is to think of the context, that is to say, the way you are going to contextualize your presentation and the input. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. So we are taking like steps that are not linear. Have you noticed that we are not following a line, a chronological line for planning? Because remember that we have read about this. I mean, is planning linear? Well, it may not be, right? Sometimes we think of the tasks and then we have to think of the let's say, not the language content, of course, we always have it in mind, because you are not going to devise tasks of different language points, right? But the idea is that generally, what, in a way, we think of tasks of different types, and then we think about the input. Well, perhaps now, right, we can think of tasks, but at the same time, we have to think about contextualization. I think that the first step is to know the language you're going to teach and the context you're going to set that language in. Then, this is the order I follow. Then I think of the tasks, and then I think about the Blackboard synopsis. And then I start designing the lesson plan. This is the way I do it. That doesn't mean that you cannot do it in a different way, following a different order, right? Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Well, so next class on Wednesday, as some groups will be presenting what? Will be presenting these, let's say, adjustments to your previous tasks, remember? And how you think you have organized this into stages when planning. Remember?
Right.
That we had these models, and I wanted you to sort of, let's say, tailor these models to be effective for you, right? When planning.
Right.
Okay. And well, then I will explain to you the next task that I will be contextualizing and presenting. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we have to choose, for example, the topic or the age of the students, or will you provide it?
Yes, I will provide it, Jessica, but I will do all that next Wednesday, right? Because I don't want to sort of, let's say, shower you with tasks to be done, and then we never come to correct what is still, I mean, there in our agenda to be corrected. Okay?
I have another question.
Yes.
Do we have to show you the activity that we uploaded on the classroom, or only the critics for those activities?
As you, I think perhaps the activity, so that I can sort of, let's say, recap it. Okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
All right. Any other question?
Sandra, I revamped my activity. I made it like a new activity.
Okay. Did you upload it into the Google Classroom or not?
Yes,
because,
I did.
All right. Okay. So I will be checking all that. So did you write somewhere that it's a new one or not?
I had to change my activity because it had no focus. So I focus. It's like I focus a bit more on the language that I want my students to use, and well, I had to change the activity because it was an activity planned to be made in the schoolyard, and now it's made in the classroom.
Oh yes, now I remember. Yes. Okay, I remember.
Sandra, can you hear me?
I cannot see you, but I can hear you.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? I was saying. So I was going to tell you that me and Miranda also recreated our activity.
Yes,
because
you uploaded it yesterday.
Yes.
Yes, I got the notification. Yes, I got the notification from the Google Classroom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We also changed it, but we didn't specify that we changed it.
Okay, well,
so it's
don't worry.
New one.
If I feel a bit at loss, then I will ask you, right?
Okay.
I will ask you a question in the group. Do you mind if I do it?
It's fine by me.
But you know what has happened to me, that sometimes some people, I think that Juan Cruz, right, knows about this. I sent him, let's say, a writing with feedback, and it was not for him. It was for Juani, right? And as I have both of them as Juan in my contacts list, I made a mistake. So it is easier for me to say on the WhatsApp group, say, Juan Cruz and Miranda, please contact me, and then I can talk to you directly. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, because I mean, for example, there are two Camilas, right? And sometimes I don't have the surnames in my contact list. I just have the names. So that's why I may get confused. And sometimes your pictures don't show the face. Some of you have different, let's say, pictures of other, let's say, people, right? Okay?
Yes, right.
Or you are with somebody else and I get confused. Do you know what happened to me? It was so funny. Once I got I don't know, it was I think a final work from a student of mine, and then I have to give him feedback. So what I did is to send, let's say, his girlfriend the feedback, because in the picture he appeared, in the picture of this girl he appeared. So I thought, in the WhatsApp picture, so I thought it was him, but it was his girlfriend. Do you understand? They were both students at the profesorado, that's why. So I ended up giving the girlfriend the feedback. Because of the picture on the WhatsApp, I recognized, oh, it's this student, so I sent it. And it was a, Sandra, ¿por qué me mandas esto? Y mira, pero no es el trabajo. Ay, no, pero es mi novio. Ah, porque por ahí ponen fotos y yo me guío por las fotos y se la termino mandando a la novia o al novio. ¿Ok? All right?
Sí.
Entonces,
Yes, all
yo
right.
me me comunico con ustedes. Voy a parar acá porque esto ya es